21 hours. They sat in that hotel room in Islamabad for 21 hours. 21 hours of talking, arguing, proposing, rejecting, and at the end of it all, nothing. Zero. Zilch. The biggest diplomatic meeting of the 21st century. The Vice President of the United States sitting across from Iran's parliament speaker and foreign minister. Pakistan's prime minister and military chief in the room mediating. 21 hours. And J.D. Vance walked out, got in front of the cameras, and said Iran refused to accept our terms. And what did the president do? Did he try again? Did he pick up the phone? Did he send a different team? Did he reach out to allies for help? No. He announced a blockade starting today, right now, as I'm talking to you. The United States Navy is blockading Iranian ports and coastal areas in the Strait of Hormuz. CENTCOM says it went into effect at 10 o'clock this morning. Every ship, every tanker, every cargo vessel, doesn't matter what flag you fly. American, Chinese, Japanese, French, you're getting stopped. You're getting searched. And if you've paid a single dollar in tolls to Iran, you're getting turned around. Now I need y'all to stop and think about what that means, because a blockade is not a sanction. A blockade is not a diplomatic tool. In international law, a blockade is an act of war, period. We are already at war with Iran, and now we're telling the entire world that their ships can't pass through international waters without our permission. And I need to ask the question that apparently nobody in Washington is asking. Does this man think the world is America? Does he think we're the only country on the planet? Does he think China is just going to sit back and watch us stop their oil shipments? Does he think Russia is going to shrug their shoulders? Does he think Japan and India and Turkey and Pakistan are going to say, well, America said so, guess we'll just deal with it? Because that is not how the world works. And the fact that the President of the United States doesn't seem to understand that scares me more than the blockade itself. Let me break this down for y'all. Because the media is focused on the ships and the oil and the stock market. But the real story here is about who else is in this game. And this game is a lot bigger than the United States versus Iran. China. Let's start with China. Intelligence reports, and these are classified secrets, this is open source reporting that anybody can read, show that China has been quietly supplying Iran with chemical materials and military equipment throughout this entire conflict. Not openly, not with press conferences, quietly, through back channels, through third-party companies, through shipping routes that are designed to avoid American surveillance. Why? Because China gets 40% of its oil from the Persian Gulf. 40%. When you blockade the Strait of Hormuz, you're not just blockading Iran. You're blockading China's energy supply. And China, in case anybody forgot, has the second largest military in the world, the second largest economy in the world, and nuclear weapons. You think they're gonna sit still while American warships block their oil? Now Russia, Zelensky himself, the president of Ukraine, America's own ally, went public this week and said Russia is providing intelligence support to Iran. He said he showed the evidence to the United States. And you know what happened? The U.S. wasn't interested, didn't want to hear it, didn't want to see it. Russia is helping Iran with intelligence, satellite data, military coordination. And the United States government looked at that information and said, no thanks, we're good. Why? Why would you ignore evidence that a nuclear-powered adversary is helping the country you're at war with? Unless knowing the truth would make your war harder to sell. Unless admitting Russia is involved would mean admitting this isn't just a little conflict in the Middle East. This is a global situation with global consequences. And that's what nobody in the White House wants to say out loud. Because the moment you admit that China is supplying Iran and Russia is supporting Iran with intelligence, you're not fighting a war against one country anymore. You are on the edge of something much, much, much bigger. And this man is running toward that edge with his eyes closed. The United Kingdom already said they will not participate in the blockade. Our closest ally, our special relationship ally, the country that has followed us into every military adventure for the last 100 years just said no. When Britain says no, you need to stop and ask yourself why. Now I want to talk about something that's been eating at me for 7 weeks. 7 weeks of this war. 7 weeks of bombs and ships and body bags. And I keep coming back to the same question. Why are we in this war? Not the reason they gave us. Not the Iran is a threat to national security talking point. Not the we need to protect the Strait of Hormuz line. I want the real reason, the honest reason, the reason that nobody on TV will say. We are in this war because Israel needed us. That's it. That's the whole reason. Now, before anybody starts calling me anti this or anti that, let me be clear. Israel has every right to defend itself. Every country does. But Israel's security is Israel's responsibility. Just like America's security is America's responsibility. Just like France's security is France's responsibility. When did it become the job of American taxpayers to fund another country's war? When did we sign up for that? When did you sign up for that? Because I don't remember getting that ballot. I don't remember voting on whether my tax dollars should go to bombs in the Middle East instead of schools in Baltimore, instead of roads in Mississippi, instead of hospitals in Ohio. $500 billion. That's what some estimates say this war has cost so far. $500 billion in 7 weeks. That money came from your paycheck, from my paycheck, from the paychecks of 200 million working Americans who never asked for this war, never wanted this war, and are now paying for this war while their own communities fall apart. And what are we getting for it? Gas is $5 a gallon. Inflation is at a 2-year high. The stock market is bleeding. Our sons and daughters are on aircraft carriers in the Persian Gulf. And now we're blockading the world's most important shipping lane, which means everything is about to get more expensive. Your food, your clothes, your medicine, everything. For what? Pakistan, the country that brokered the ceasefire, said the talks are at an impasse, but not over. They said they'll keep mediating. But how can you mediate when one side just declared a blockade? How can you talk peace when you're actively choking the other side's economy? Trump says he doesn't care whether Iran comes back to the table. He said that out loud. The President of the United States said he is indifferent to whether peace talks resume, while American service members are deployed, while the entire global economy is trembling. He doesn't care. And what now? What's the next step? Because a blockade has consequences. It's not a switch you flip on and off. Once you tell every country in the world that their ships can't go where they want to go, those countries have to respond. China has to respond. Russia has to respond. Japan has to respond. India has to respond. And some of those responses might not be diplomatic. Some of those responses might involve their own warships. And then what? Then we've got the American Navy face to face with the Chinese Navy in the Strait of Hormuz. Is that what we want? Is that the plan? Because if it is, somebody needs to say it out loud so the American people know what they're signing up for. We are one miscalculation away from something that doesn't have a name yet, but will be in the history books our grandchildren read. And the man in charge, the man making these decisions, he's on social media calling the Pope weak and calling his own allies stupid. I want peace. I want our troops home. I want gas to go back to $2. I want to stop talking about Iran every single day. But wanting peace doesn't mean pretending that what's happening is okay. It's not okay. It's dangerous. It's reckless. And it could get a lot worse before it gets better. Tell me in the comments, if China and Russia are already helping Iran, are we heading towards something bigger? Because that's the question nobody on cable news wants to ask. But Curtis asks the questions that need asking. Subscribe, notifications on. This blockade started today, and what happens next could change everything. That's Straight Talk. I'm Curtis Banks, and the truth don't need a blockade to get through.